Hi, my name is Bryson Clark, and this is my final project for Intro to Computational Thinking. The dataset I chose for this final project is the immigration dataset. Each question I answer refers to the country of Canada. I chose Canada because when President Trump was elected, many citizens claimed they were going to move to Canada. As a result, this got me interested in what Canada's immigration numbers are truly like. Next is the abstraction. An abstraction is turning real-world entities or phenomena into data. For this final project, I have abstracted immigration data from Canada into specific reports. The first specific report is criminal and non-criminal. Both of these are integer properties that represent the amount of criminal and non-criminal immigrants that are being enforced in the country of Canada. My second report is refugees arrived. This integer property represents the amount of refugees that have arrived to Canada. My final report is last residence and birth. These integer properties represent the data for those born or the last country they lived in, being Canada. The next slide is my data map. As you can see, it starts with the dictionaries of data, country, and year, and then is broken down into more complex keys and dictionaries, such as enforcement, legal permanent residences, naturalization, refugees, and non-immigrant. For this data set, there are several limitations. The first of these being, only the data for the country of Canada is being pulled for use. The second limitation is that the data only goes back to the year 2005. The third and final limitation is that it is impossible to have data on every illegal immigrant that may have gained access to the country of Canada. Next will be my first question. In the country of Canada, are there more criminal or non-criminal immigrants currently in the country? For this answer, I chose to represent it as a visualization of a line graph. The blue line represents the amount of criminals and the red line represents the amount of non-criminals. As you can see, there are a large number of non-criminals compared to a much smaller number of criminals. This visualization shows the amount of criminal blue and non-criminal red immigrants in Canada starting in the year 2005. It is clear there are much more non-criminal immigrants in the country. However, in recent years, both numbers have begun to decline, especially non-criminal. My second question is, since 2005, how many refugees are apprehended annually in the country of Canada? I chose to represent this data with a histogram. Although this number bounces from year to year, since 2005, there have been around 800 refugees apprehended 3 of the years, around 1,120 and 1,490 apprehended 2 of the years, and finally between 1,200 and 1,420 each of the remaining years. This data shows from year to year there is a similar amount of refugees apprehended except for the outlier years where only 800 are apprehended. For this graph, the 800 is on the x-axis, and as you can see it goes up to 3 on the y. This 3 represents the amount of years I should say, that this amount of refugees have been apprehended in the country of Canada. My third and final question is, in the country of Canada, is there a relationship between legal permanent residences that are born in the country and it being their last place of residence? Since I'm asking to find a relationship, for this visualization I chose to use a scatter plot. And I found that there is a direct relationship between those born in Canada and it being their last place of residence. This makes perfect sense because there are more babies being born every day, and citizens move from the country every day, so there should be a relationship between the two. On this graph, in the x-axis is the last residence and the y-axis is born. As you can see, they both trend in an upward direction at the same rate. This data set has several social impacts. and there are several stakeholders that would be affected in the results of this analysis. The first of these stakeholders would be out-of-country people, or immigrants, looking to move to Canada. The second stakeholder would be Canadians. More people in their country leads to more revenue, but also leads to less available living. The third stakeholder would be real estate in Canada, because this is where they would learn where immigrants are moving to and they would plan accordingly. The final stakeholder is police. Police will be on the lookout for criminals or refugees entering the city. With this analysis also rose several conflicts. The first conflict being Canadians may not want refugees from other countries coming into theirs. The second conflict I found is that police could have a hard time monitoring non-criminal from criminal immigrants. My final slide is my honor code. I have neither given nor received unauthorized assistance on this assignment. Thank you.